board game they had was quite special and peculiar. So I asked for an interview with Eyeless Jamie here, who is one of the developers for it. Hello, Jamie.
Hello.
So how are you today?
I'm very nervous.
Well, this is the first interview for Adamo, so I am also very, very nervous. So what made you want to build the game in the first place?
It was really, like, my mum came up with the idea of the board game, but to save her a bit of money, I asked if I could design the board.
So you designed the board for her then?
Yes. And then what happened was, I think she has a friend who's a graphic designer, and they took the person took my original concept and changed it to an earlier version of what you probably saw at the expo.
So you built the board, you went through, you created the board. The next thing would be how the game rules and mechanics came about.
Okay. So while I was creating the actual board, I never looked at the rules. Because how my mum writes, she just writes how she thinks, like how she speaks, really, and as well as both being dyslexic, I can't understand half the things she writes.
Yeah. Yeah, if handwriting is particularly bad, it's extremely...
Oh, no, it was on Word. It was on Microsoft Word.
So you just had a very hard time reading it then?
It was really understanding how it worked.
Ah. So you asked your mum to help you get the design and mechanics through then?
Yeah, but I also suggested some of, when I actually got to playtesting, I actually suggested some design, rule thingies. So I'm forgetting the words. Some game mechanics.
So you implemented the mechanics. The one thing I kind of want to mention would be the characters design, because you seem to capture everyone with characters.
Oh, that's actually perfect. That's good, actually. I have one of the concept arts of the characters already.
Can I have a look at that, please?
Okay, so this was the creativity one.
The LGBT.
The non-binary one, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't seen on the actual thing, but the shirt was meant to have like the non-binary flag on it.
Oh, that's clever. Can you send that across?
I have a better, well-done version of it that I used my tablet for.
Ooh. So did you draw? So you seem to be quite an artist. Did you draw the character designs?
With the same thing with the board. I did the concepts, then the graphic designer drew them like better, really.
Yeah, the concept was pretty good as well. So, how was the expo from your perspective? That's something I kind of got into because I was actually helping out some of my friends during that expo on Saturday morning. And it was a struggle for me. How did you survive all 3 days?
I didn't really. The last day, I just had no energy.
That seems about right for the UK Games Expo.
Yeah.
So you had your help from your mum and your sister.
Yes.
How did they help in the process of the board game?
My sister, I offered if she wanted to do one of the backstories, but she decided she didn't want to, so she helped with the playtesting of it. And my mum helped in the way that she basically made the idea of the board game. It's her board game, really. I just designed a few things.
A few elements, yeah.
Yes, as in most of how it kind of plays.
To be fair, if you've done most of the design elements for them,
yeah,
which is kind of impressive.
Thank you.
So, who is your favourite character out of the bunch then?
Because it's how I draw. It's how I draw things. It's literally just how I draw people. So it was the easiest to do.
Yeah. So it seems like your mum was a big help. What does she actually do? Tell me. Give her a quick bio.
So you're talking about her job, or?
Yeah, because she seems to be in tune with autistic people.
Okay, so her job is she's a counsellor for people who have who've had experiences with domestic abuse, like drugs and alcohol. Like, I think maybe what happened was because she learned all about autism when I got the diagnosis, really. But I think like some dots might have connected for her about like how it could be all connected.
How, because you're disabled and mentally not rewired differently?
Yeah, that's what I always say. It's rewired differently.
Yeah, because like even then, our concepts to the normal world are quite weird at times, I will admit.
Yeah, yeah,
It just ends up in like you just like, I know half the time at work I will generally misspell something and I just take it the wrong way by accident. Does that happen to you?
yeah, yes. There was someone who came up to the stand as well. Yeah, basically everything I had, like autism, dyslexia, ADHD, like all them. And he said he also had a thing called what was it? Oh, it was where you think everyone's out to get you, really, or like that. Everything is
Paranoia.
to attack you. No, not paranoia. It's like a. I can't remember the name of it.
I'll have
What
the
was it talking
editor
about?
put the image on screen now.
Yeah. Just
So how was your upbringing basically with autism? How it impacted your school life, stuff like that? Because I know autism on my end had a big impact on my school life.
it didn't really have much of an effect that I'm aware of, because I didn't really know I had it or knew what it was until like when I was like into high school. Like the Senko of my school, which I hate her, but I wasn't apparently dyslexic enough to get support, or to get a scribe to help me write.
Yeah, like it wasn't only until university I got the help I needed.
Yeah.
So what are your ambitions with the board games anyway?
What does ambitious mean?
What's your next step with the board games, basically?
Oh, we're just trying to get it licensed, really, and maybe yeah, it's really it.
So you want to get it licensed and out there into the world?
Yeah.
Did you get any people interested at the UK Games Expo, or?
We did actually, yeah. Surprisingly, Asmodee.
So you had fun at the expo. I take it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was fun. Did you have fun?
Oh, it's the expo. Even as press, I do enjoy it. I just enjoy stories and just meeting people. Because you just at the expo, it's like one of the places, because tabletop gaming was so niche. Like back in the day, people like us would generally find places of groups in the tabletop community. Do you have any prior interaction with the tabletop community before the Games Expo, or?
No, not really.
So what are your interests then?
I'm happy you said that.
You're a Star Wars nerd then.
Yeah. So Doctor Who, what's Doctor Who got? Basically sci-fi.
There's nothing wrong with good sci-fi.
Yeah.
Do you have any video game interests? Because we are a video game company.
Yes, I actually do. Again, thank you for mentioning that.
That's a GameCube, isn't it?
Sorry, what do you say?
That's a nice proper GameCube you have there.
Thank you. I also have. I'm mainly a Nintendo fan, but yeah.
The best
I
kind.
have, like, Game Boys. Yeah.
So what are you planning? What are you hoping to do in the future then?
Like going to like game design, really, or anything to do with design.
Yeah, it's just you seem to have a passion for design and art and graphics, don't you?
Yeah.
Because like the character designs are very well made, and if you did like the concept art, it's just so good.
Thank you.
So I'm going to say this: what's the best thing about the ball game, and what's the worst thing about the ball game?
The best thing is actually how it, a real thing, actual board game.
You're just so happy just to see it get to the point of completion.
I'm just surprised. Yeah, I'm just surprised about like how we actually managed to turn a book to a board game.
What's the book about? Because I saw it at the Games Expo.
I actually have a copy of it right here. Again, from what I know, the book's about like how my mum managed to connect the dots of like everything to do with autism.
And how it affects society as a whole? Or...
It's like how science hasn't really like connected them yet, really.
Ah.
Yeah.
But even then...
But I did help with...
Oh, you helped with the book?
As the very last chapter of it, yeah. Like the idea of what it was. Like famous characters on the spectrum.
So with the help of your mum, you turned that book into the actual tabletop game?
I mean, she asked, like, I want to make a board game out of my book. It was her who just, like, asked me if she thinks she should do it.
So you said yes, and here you are. Actually gaining proper momentum. So you had people play testing the game at the table. What did they think?
Most people actually liked it.
That's always a good sign for a product when people like it.
Yeah. There was like one or two who just didn't understand what was going on.
But that can generally be revised in like a second edition if you wanted to go for that. Because most games you need to be quite clear on what's the wing on, stuff like that. So would you take that into concept for creating a second edition?
I mean, we did have issues when first play testing the early versions about like what the rules were. Stories.
So tell me about the early playtest days. Were there any hiccups? Seems like it, but I would like to hear from you.
Surprisingly, there were quite a few. One, the rules wouldn't really play that well because it didn't have a clear end to it. Like it didn't say you have to get this or go on here. It was just not even written in the rules.
Yeah, that must have been a problem. Did you get around to fixing that?
Yes. After the third play test.
Yeah, the third play test.
Because we couldn't really figure out like a clear end. Because originally we were going to have like currency you had to like trade with other players, but like, many people found that a bit too complicated.
So you just had a problem with simplicity then, trying to make it clean and
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah, really, that was really like the issue.
Were there any other hiccups with character design, stuff like that, like balancing?
Not really, because I planned out like on Microsoft Paint, like the genders and what the names of the characters would be.
You had that all figured
So
out.
it wasn't. Yeah.
So you like video
My
games,
mum.
wanting to go to design.
Yeah.
Do you think the board game was a step in the right direction for that goal, or?
Yes, definitely.
So what are you currently doing now?
I'm on an interview.
Oh, that's just cheap. Well, what you
I had to. I'm sorry.
That's the second time you got me today. So what are your plans for the future then, after the interview?
What do you say?
You want to go into game design. Do you have any other ideas for board games, like a sci-fi one?
It was mainly like computer game design that I was thinking of. Like, it's just because game design as a whole includes board game design.
Yeah, game design will include board game elements.
Yeah.
Are you going to be comfortable with the programming side of things?
I have done bits of coding in like school and in my own time, but I'm being honest, I've forgotten everything.
I majored in coding and I still forget everything. That's why we have the thing called the internet and Google.
And also going back to your original code and, like, yeah.
That I'm going to give you some advice. That's where indenting and noting what the code does and just making it as clear as possible. Just so when you come back to it a day later, you understand it. What was your basic experience to get into gaming?
It was really just watching videos on YouTube. Like, watching Let's Plays.
Yeah, so when do you think you're going to get the tabletop game out?
I don't know, really.
So you're basically still in the advertising phase then?
No, it's my mum who's handling, like, the licensing and when we might get it outside of things.
Yeah. Like any update we will gladly promote on Adamo. I find the game and your willingness to help is such inspiration, really, that anyone can do what they want to do if they set their mind to it.
Yeah. It's really, like if they set their mind to it and if they have motivation to do it.
Then you can get some stuff done.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to promote while we're here?
Subscribe to Adamo Gaming.
Well, you've taken the outro right out of my mouth. Thank you for coming today. Please subscribe to Adamo Gaming. Esports, jump over to 10 Star and see how they're doing. And I'll see you then. Bye.